Quinlan here, Melbourne, Musos, the drum show. What I'm doing here, playing more in a style of classical percussion. But yet, keeping the hi-hat even for air and focus, or just, you know, noise. No, I shouldn't say that. So, or as a nuisance. Because if I stopped it, this is fine, but it sounds random. It sort of is without that, because I'm actually just doing it right here now for the show. But if I do then, now, you could tell that there was a big difference with that. At least I could, because what happened is I was playing random things before, and it sounded a bit random. It needed focus and all that. I'm hoping that you listeners out there would be listening for something to hang on to. Now I get it. Now I get that piece and all that. But as soon as I put the hi-hat in, just to get started, all of a sudden you had a sense of rhythm, and then you could tell that it was a fairly complex piece, but against the rhythm and stuff like that. Now, one of the things that I often get asked about is about sometimes the hugeness of this kit and stuff, and I'm a bit of a defender of it, I suppose, because the current fashion is to go pare it right back down to 4-piece kits and all that, and I've gone out with 4-piece kits. The last clinic I did at GH Music was on a 4-piece kit, and the most basic as it comes, like just one ride, 2 crashes, 4-piece, and all that sort of stuff. It was a DW kit that I played, of course, because I'm endorsed by them, and it was the kit, the one DW kit they had in the store. And I said, I just play it. I can't not play, without my huge kit. Give me anything. I'll try my best with it. But what I'd like to talk about tonight is my left-hand side here. Okay, these here. Now, what you also see is 3 books, and I just want to show you something. This is the book, one of the great classical snare drum books, Portraits in Rhythm by Anthony Cerrone, written in the mid-60s. And that has been used for decades in syllabus all around the world, including mine, which I wrote in 1995, and all that sort of business. It's a fantastic book. Very, very intricate snare drum reading. Later on, he brought out 2 books, further books. One was Portraits for Drum Set, where what he did, there's a picture of the dude anyway, there you go, can you see that? That's great television. There's Anthony Cerrone, very famous man. But basically what he did was he took 12 of the 50 solos, and then what he did was essentially arrange it for a drum kit, okay? All of that sort of business, which is terrific as well, that kind of thing. But what I want to talk about tonight is one other book that he put out, which is Portraits for Multiple Percussion, if you can see it there. Okay, so there it is there. There's the thing. But what I want you to take special note of is the setup in the picture, because the actual cover picture there, which I'll put right up there, if you have a look, hello, where do you think my idea came from? We have a standing up bass drum here, 6 toms, okay, 6 toms there. There they are there. And then he's got more cowbells than me and woodblocks and stuff. But what I did do is put up all of this sort of business, you see. So what I want to introduce to you tonight is some of my ideas based on this work of Anthony Cerrone when he took his very, very famous Portraits in Rhythm snare drum book, and then he simply applied it to multiple percussion and all that sort of business. I just want to talk about my ideas for I'm not piking out, but I won't be playing anything from there tonight, but I will do in the future. But what happens is I just want to talk about some of the concepts that you can do with that kind of a percussion setup. Okay, so I'll just put the books down there for a second. And what I'll do here is essentially, what I do is I tend to create a dialogue on my left-hand side with my right-hand side, and I've often called it contrapuntal drumming, because what I'll do is I'll set something up here like... Seems I've started. Something very short and sweet, and you know, just started with one hand and then brought in the other hand as... Now, I did a little thing in the middle of that actually came out of a mistake. Some of the best music in the world comes from mistakes. They go, ooh, look what just happened. Ooh, oh, I like it. You know, that kind of thing. And it's not so much a mistake, but it's more like discipline sort of thing. When you're trying to play in unison, both hands together, one of the things that tends to start to happen is that as you're starting, you know, the discipline of trying to keep that going at some kind of clip, at some kind of speed, what starts to happen is that sometimes you don't quite get onto it because so much of our practice is based on flams and all of this sort of stuff. So it starts to go out a little bit. So it morphs out, sort of thing. Now, in classical percussion, there's a very famous minimalist composer by the name of Steve Reich, who was out just last year. I like his music very much because he was a drummer to begin with, became a composer, now is revered for that style of music. When you mention Philip Glass, you're usually mentioning Steve Reich at the same time. And what starts to happen with this is that he had a song or a piece of classical music called the clapping song. And what he had was just a small motif of 16th note groupings like da 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 da. I've got to look at it again to get the rhythm. I should have researched that, sorry. My apologies, but look it up. Dame Evelyn Glennie does a version of it, which is brilliant. If you know her. If you don't know her, look her up. She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant lady. And profoundly deaf and one of the, an incredible percussionist. All that. Anyway, what happens is that because what would happen, the clapping song, you'd have this figure, da 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 da, and then the next time around, it's for two parts, and then the second part would move one semi-quaver back, so it sounds like an echo, and then the next time around, a quaver back, and of course, there's 16 variations because it's 16th notes in 4/4. and all that sort of stuff. And then it comes back and they come back around and they lock in again. And that's a very interesting piece of music, because in the middle you couldn't get further apart, sort of thing. And then it slowly comes back together again as you go through for it to repeat. And one of the things that he calls that a technique is a thing called phasing. And we know that as just even us guitarists who have our effects units, we have an effect unit called a phaser. When I take the various camera angles of this show and put them all into my computer, I have to marry them all up. So there's so much of what I do with a 5-camera shoot where there's so much phasing, sort of thing. And that's why you do the synchronization, maybe just, that's why you have the clapper boards in movies, take one, and all the angles lock into that one. I do 4. Hello, that kind of thing, and it's all locked in. But it's like half a frame, it's like that. Hello, 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 and then you're back in. So, let me talk about that a little bit. I could play together. Phased out. Now have a listen how complex it can become quite quickly. I could bring in the hi-hat. It's really the theme of the last episode and this one as well, just my workings with the hi-hat a little bit, but using it as a springboard for so many different things. So you got... What the? Sounds like I'm speeding up, but I'm not. Now, that was as weird as, but hopefully the tonality of the tom-toms kept everything a little bit together. Do you see? So what happens there? And that's what goes on. So, what goes on with this is that you can take something that starts fairly basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then phase it out. Double stroke it. And then semi-quavers there, and then I'm putting in crotchet triplets down here, you see, and then it becomes insanely complex, but hopefully the themes stay the same. I get fascinated with this stuff, so do so many other people, and that's why it's so prevalent, you see. To quote Edgar Varese, the present-day composer refuses to die, okay? We're not going to get stuck on just playing the chicken dance every week sort of thing. Although that's going to be a bit hard to dance to, but I'm sure there are going to be people who would try. But the thing about it is that this kind of stuff I find fascinating. It's just moving forward. It's just the movement of music as an entity, music in general. And I just love the idea. I also love the feeling in my wrist. It's really, you just get the